Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, weeds resistant to herbicides were one of the big subjects at this week's annual Delta Ag Expo in Cleveland, Mississippi.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture revamps the school lunch program for the first time in 15 years.
In Southern gardening, spring color. Nurseries and garden centers are working now to produce the plants that will give your landscape color in the early spring.
In the markets, higher on-feed numbers could put pressure on the beef sector, while some analysts are optimistic that cotton futures may go higher.
In the feature segment, we'll go to Brandon, Mississippi, where seeing is believing. The grounds of the Rankin County office of the Mississippi State University Extension Service are covered with plots of flowers, vegetables, wildlife forages, and many other plants. It's an effort to not only tell clients, but to show them what's possible.
My general thoughts are, of course, my genuine love for growing things, but what also added to it was my desire to further educate the public as a whole. And having so many questions in vegetable production, forage production, forages for wildlife. No better way to demonstrate a fact other than actually carry them out and show them what it looks like, what it feels like, what it smells like.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
Weeds are an age-old problem for farmers, but today's weeds aren't the same ones your grandfather knew.
Leighton, the advent of crops genetically engineered to allow the use of glyphosate herbicide has resulted in some weeds that are now genetically resistant to the widely used herbicide. What to do about them was on the minds of many growers at the annual Delta Ag Expo in Cleveland, Mississippi. Attendance rebounded at this year's Expo. That could be understandable considering that last year was a good one, while 2009 saw good yields spoiled by harvest time rain. This year marked the two-day farm show's 38th year. More than 120 exhibitors ranging from equipment suppliers to the U.S. Department of Agriculture were on hand. The information sessions the first day focused on weeds which have grown resistant to the herbicide glyphosate. Charlie Bush, Bolivar County Agricultural Extension Agent and Expo Chairman, said that growers wanted to find out from Mississippi State University scientists what options they have.
It was not so much just a presentation by different people, it was an actual panel of different people sitting around talking and taking questions from the producers in the crowd. And I think that drew a lot of attention this year. The attendance seems to be up this year as opposed to last year.
One of those in the morning panel discussion was Tom Eubank of Mississippi State University. He said each grower's situation is unique, but MSU scientists have developed some different weed control plans that farmers can tailor to their situation.
Our general message across the state of Mississippi and the Mid-South is really to be proactive in that using residual herbicides as a foundation to prevent resistant weeds from emerging. Regardless of whether it be pigweed, horseweed, ryegrass, residual options, we think bring a lot of benefits to a program. We've got some of those short list recommendations on the website, the MSU Cares website. We've got options for soybeans, corn, and cotton on what we're recommending growers use to help manage resistant weeds.
If you're interested in getting copies of the weed control plans from Mississippi State University, go to your County Extension Service office or the MSUcares.com website. We will have that contact information on our website, farmweek.msucares.com.
For the first time in 15 years, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has overhauled our nation's school lunch program. The goal is to provide healthy meals, but that target may be too expensive for many schools to afford. Market to Market's Mark Pearson reports.
Nearly 32 million kids participate in school meal programs every day. USDA hopes the proposed changes will improve the health of youth nationwide and help address the growing problem of childhood obesity. In a statement, Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack said, with many children consuming as many as half their daily calories at school, strengthening nutritional standards is an important step in the Obama administration's effort to combat childhood obesity and improve the health and well-being of all our kids. USDA's new guidelines apply only to lunches subsidized by the federal government. Schools would be required to cut sodium in the meals by more than half and to add more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, fat-free and low-fat milk to the menu. The guidelines also would limit kids to 1 cup of starchy vegetables a week, so schools couldn't offer things like French fries every day. While many schools are improving meals already, others are still serving children meals high in fat, salt, and calories. The new guidelines are based on 2009 recommendations by the Institute of Medicine, the health arm of the National Academy of Sciences. According to USDA, about a third of children 6 to 19 years old are overweight or obese, and the number of obese children has tripled over the past few decades. The proposed guidelines come just weeks after President Obama signed into law a child nutrition bill that will help schools pay for the healthier foods, which often are more expensive. Some groups have criticized efforts to make meals healthier, saying it will be hard for financially strapped schools to pay for the new requirements. Vilsack says he understands the new standards may pose some challenges for school districts, but he believes they are necessary. He compares obesity and related diseases like diabetes to a truck barreling toward a child, and the new guidelines to a parent teaching the child to look both ways before crossing the street.
Even though winter has settled in, hope for garden color is on the way. In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman shows us commercial growers are producing plants to add spring color to your landscape.
Winter has settled in, and most gardeners I know are already looking forward to the colorful plants of the spring season. Today I'm at JDS Nursery in Loosedale, where they're growing some of my favorite spring colors. An old standby is the Sonnet Snapdragon. With colorful flower spikes available in a kaleidoscope of colors, it's easy to see why Sonnet Snapdragons are so popular. Flower colors include orange, scarlet, pink, white, and yellow. Rocket snapdragons are great for cut flowers and have a rich cinnamon fragrance. So where did snapdragon get its name? Kids always love seeing the dragon that lives in the flower.
Hello, my name is Bachman the Snapdragon.
Nemesia is a colorful annual native to South Africa that is related to snapdragon. The colorful flowers are up to 1 inch in diameter, and the interior is bearded like an iris. Bluebird is an old standby variety with bright blue flowers and a white and yellow throat. The newer Juicy Fruit series can put on a colorful flower display. With delicious sounding names like papaya, kumquat, and watermelon, the flower colors are almost gaudy. Another snapdragon-like favorite is Diacia, which is vigorous and cold tolerant. This plant is commonly called twin spur due to descending spurs on the back of the flower. Wink Garnet is a bright magenta red, while Whisper Pumpkin is a glowing pumpkin orange. Diacia are cheerful plants and especially well suited for combination containers. These colorful plants will create interest for the cool days of the spring season and can be a lot of fun.
I'm Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
He's got another career waiting on him. Gary says it won't be long until these plants will start to appear in garden centers, so be on the lookout. In our feature segment today, Layton will have another reminder that warm weather will be back one day. Come visit the Rankin County, Mississippi Extension Service office, where all sorts of plants, flowers, and vegetables are displayed on a year-round basis. Time now for the markets with Layton, and the cattle markets got some attention this week.
That's right, Artis, and not just because of the new on-feed numbers in the markets this week. The price of live cattle tries to keep pace with the cost of corn, a primary feed ingredient. Pricing in the chicken complex continues to weaken as China signs a cotton deal this week. We begin with the monthly cattle on feed report released Friday afternoon, January 21st. Actually, the price action and record rally in beef early in the week has gotten more attention than these new numbers. Extension economist John Michael Riley stopped by our studio to give me his impression of this week's events. Talk of a tightening cattle supply is apparently one of the factors at play. John Michael, an interesting week to talk about the cattle sector here. We're Wednesday afternoon that we're having this recording. Now, we've seen prices up early part of the week. They come down a little bit. What's going on here?
Well, I think just some pre-report positioning ahead of this report that's coming out. Early expectations, haven't seen the full list of all the analyst expectations, but early expectations are showing a 4% increase in cattle on feed. That would put the number just under 11.5 million head. Placements are expected to increase about 12 to 13%. So I think a lot of that is kind of putting a little bit of pressure on prices here midweek.
All right, now as we were talking off camera, of course, and talking about a lot of the factors at play here and what cattle prices are doing, the grain prices are still up and moving north, so obviously the beef sector has to recoup what it takes to feed cattle.
Live cattle prices have definitely got to keep pace with corn. We've seen, of course, all commodity prices here to start the new year are really strong, and I think a lot of some of the things that are going on is that live cattle prices are trying to keep pace with feed prices. Another thing is just general discussion of the tightening of the total supply. We're going to get a cattle inventory number out at the end of this month, and all the expectations are for a shrinking cow herd, shrinking calf crops. So there is still this notion of a tightening supply of cattle. I think that has a lot is playing into it, but still we're seeing these higher on feed numbers. A lot of people are probably going to shake their head whenever we're talking about a tight supply but growing on feed numbers. I went and looked at imports from Mexico, which doesn't explain everything, but probably does help to explain the matter a little bit. Up 22% in 2010 versus the 5-year average. If you look at the fourth quarter of 2010, Mexican imports of feeder cattle were up 37%. So I think that's why we're still seeing an increase in cattle on feed.
Mm-hmm. And as far as U.S. cattle export numbers, that business, how's that looking right now?
Well, we saw the dollar weaken through the last half of 2010, so that really helps our exports. So yeah, we're still working on getting some borders opened up, but that's a promising market right there.
So for the immediate future, we'll just have to see how this market plays out.
Well, the signs point to the fundamentals are there for higher prices, but we'll continue to see higher on feed numbers that could put some pressure on it.
Moving from the beef sector to poultry now, weaker prices seem to be the headline. The website meetingplace.com quotes a Stevens analyst as saying the factors involved include surging grain futures, increases in the chicken supply, and a seasonal slowdown. Traders say higher egg sets in the September through November timeframe drove the increase in production, which boosted supply. The figures indicate that egg sets were up 5% compared to 2009 levels. Well, we don't often feature the honey industry in our trivia quiz, but this week we do. Here's the question for you. What state produces the most honey in the United States? Is the answer California, or Florida, or Mississippi, or North Dakota? We'll tell you in a few minutes.
We're going to pause now for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar in the second half of the markets. Leighton Spann reports where cotton prices are headed and wheat supplies grow tighter. In the feature segment today, we'll travel to an Extension Service office where the staff and volunteers have created beautiful instructional plots of flowers, vegetables, and the like.
Committed? I better be. When there's a real struggle or when I have thoughts of cutting the line, it's the commitment that makes me stand fast. I hang in because I never want to have to say, that was the one that got away. So yes, I am committed to my marriage until death do us part. Commit to your marriage.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. 26 private pesticide applicator training certification sessions are scheduled so far in January and February. This is the certification you need to buy restricted use pesticides. Contact your county extension office for locations or the Farm Week website calendar. The Mississippi Agricultural Consultants Association will hold its annual meeting and continuing education sessions January 27th and 28th. Takes place at the Boss Extension Center on campus at Mississippi State University. Looking into February, the Northeast Mississippi Fruit and Vegetable Conference and Trade Show takes place Friday, February 11th at the Lee County Agri Center in Verona. Registration is $10 and that will include lunch. Contact Scott Cagle at the Chickasaw County Extension Service office to register or be part of the trade show. Go to our Farmweek website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this Farm Week snapshot.
Our row crop segment of the market begins with some analysis of the cotton sector. A Chinese trade delegation signed an agreement this week for an undisclosed amount of U.S. cotton. This event was part of the Chinese president's visit to Washington. Analyst Virgil Robinson says he is optimistic that cotton futures can possibly go higher in the next 6 months.
And clearly the price incentive that was exhibited a few short weeks ago will attract acres in the U.S. as well as worldwide-wise. However, I don't think, and I am not convinced, that futures have yet made their highs. I think what we've seen of late is a movement of product. I think there'll be opportunities to price cotton over the next 6 months at levels here, what we have tonight, or higher. I think the risk in cotton prices as we visit tonight is yet higher.
A tighter world supply and demand situation is expected to be a major factor in the winter wheat market. The USDA now says it expects farmers to make 2011 a big year to increase planted acres of wheat. 2011 U.S. winter wheat area is projected to be up 10% from last year by our government. Hard red winter is expected to take the most acres, and the biggest increases are expected in the states of Kansas and South Dakota. Increases in soft red wheat are projected in Arkansas, Illinois, and Missouri. Well, we wrap up our segment with the answer to the trivia quiz. D is the choice that is correct for this question. North Dakota is the #1 slot when it comes to which state produces the most honey. South Dakota is #2.
You've heard it 1,000 times on Farm Week. Contact your county office of the Mississippi State University Extension Service. There is a lot of good information to be found there, but there's something extra at the Rankin County Extension Service office in Brandon. You'll find an ornamental garden tended by master gardeners, but you'll also see demonstration plantings of organic gardening, vegetables, cattle forage, and wildlife food. It's ambitious and it operates year-round.
I've just had the overwhelming positive comments that I've had here in appreciating the Extension Service coming in and offering something like this. As far as I know, there's not another office that has the opportunity or the available land to have something like this, and it's rather unique.
The old adage, seeing is believing, has been taken to the next level at the Rankin County office of the Mississippi State University Extension Service. Visitors to the office are often attracted to the demonstration plots planted on its grounds. Rankin County's 41 master gardeners have kept the hill garden in bloom since 1995. There are demonstration plots where visitors can see wildlife and cattle forages. There's even a nature trail. There's also organic and traditional gardens.
My general thoughts are, of course, my genuine love for growing things, but what also added to it was my desire to further educate the public as a whole. And having so many questions in vegetable production, forage production, forages for wildlife. No better way to demonstrate a fact other than actually carry them out and show them what it looks like, what it feels like, what it smells like.
So I'm a dirt digger. I enjoy the actual physical part of gardening. So I've enjoyed this project. I've enjoyed the hill garden.
Nellie Axley is the leader of the Rankin County Master Gardeners. Master Gardeners is a volunteer horticulture education program of the Mississippi State University Extension Service. Volunteers take 40 hours of training to learn about horticulture, then they pass their knowledge on through 40 hours of service given every year back to the community. Master gardeners are especially important in a populous county like Rankin. It's in the eastern portion of the greater Jackson metropolitan area. The county's population has grown to 143,000, a 24% increase since the year 2000, the fourth most populous county in Mississippi. The Master Gardener volunteers help handle the growing number of gardening calls received by the Rankin County Extension Service Office. The Hill Garden is a teaching tool. Visitors can come to the Hill Garden anytime to conduct their own self-guided tour. A mailbox contains a guest book and a listing of the plants. Signs throughout the garden also help visitors to identify vegetation.
I think that we have such a diversity of full sun to medium sun to shade, and they can see what they can do in their yard.
With the master gardeners watching the Hill Garden, Therrell turns his attention to the other plots. There are many kinds of vegetables and forages, even the unusual, such as white, brown, and green cotton.
Well, if variety is the spice of life, it's pretty spicy here at the Rankin County Extension Service Office. Houston Therrell has 22 kinds of peppers, all the way from bell peppers to hot peppers, 34 kinds of tomatoes, organic gardening and non-organic gardening, wildlife food plots. Once again, trying to show residents what they can grow.
All the plants are marked with signs so visitors know exactly what they're seeing, and it allows after-hours viewing. In addition to vegetables, Therrell gets a lot of questions on wildlife food plots and cattle forages, so he plants those as well. Local businesses help him by donating the plants and seed. Therrell started a raised bed organic garden in 2004.
I do listen to the people in the county and questions that they have, which generates projects for me to follow up on. That's one of the projects. Because of the popularity of organic gardening and all, I saw no reason for me not to attempt that so as to better connect with the organic growers.
The organic bed is planted year-round and it remains fertile. Therrell hasn't added any soil amendments to it since he started it.
I call mine a natural bed because I hadn't got it certified organic, but it is nothing but organic materials that's been put in the plot. But there's no better way, as I mentioned earlier, to connect with the folks and come out and just let them take a look at it. And it's been surprising to me with the amount of volume that I've received off of the plants.
Therrell also has plots of lawn grasses on site. It helps clients to identify the grass they have when they ask for advice or get their soil tested. If the ornamental plants, the vegetables, and the forages weren't enough, the master gardeners, with the help of the county, are cleaning up and renovating a quarter-mile nature trail established originally by foragers. Trees along the path are identified with plaques. It includes a wetland.
We do want to keep it as natural to nature as possible. A lot of the weeds and vines and all will be done away with, but we want to keep like wildflowers, things that will attract butterflies and seed-eating birds.
Rankin County's efforts helped it to win the Face and Image Award from the Mississippi State University Extension Service in 2008 and 2009. The demonstration area is the focus now of an annual June Garden Day. It celebrated its second year in 2010.
We didn't have the big turnout this year that we had last year, but we also had a huge storm that day. But last year we thought if we had 35, 40 people we would be doing great. We had 200 and something that came to the garden that day.
What lies ahead for Rankin County's Extension Service Office? Sections of the Hill Garden and the demonstration plots are changed each year, so there's always something new to see.
That's one of the beauties of living in a county like Rankin. It's just a cooperative working agreement, not only with the Board of Supervisors here in Rankin County, but the entire extension staff, the master gardeners, and we've got quite a few merchants that like what they see. And so therefore they've been just real good and supportive and making donations and all to the continuing efforts that we've got going on here.
And I have really enjoyed working with the Extension Service. It's been a great, it's been a pleasure and a great opportunity to just get out in the community.
If you're interested in watching this story again, go to our Farm Week website. That's farmweek.msucares.com. We'll have telephone numbers and links to the MSU Extension Service website where you can get in touch with the Rankin County Extension Service office. You don't have to be a Rankin County resident for you or a group to visit. That's farmweek.msucares.com. I might mention that was shot last July. Since then, they have won the Face and Image Award again at the Rankin County office.
3 times.
And Houston also, I talked to him, said he has plans for new plots this year, so you need to show up to see it for sure. Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, an old dairy tradition makes a comeback.
You'll meet 2 Mississippi dairy families. They bottle and sell their own milk. One even uses the old-style glass bottles. This sort of dairying requires sales skills as well as milk production expertise.
In southern gardening, do you like plants with red foliage? Well, we have several that you may want to try this year. And at this point on Farm Week, we have to say goodbye today to somebody who's been here for 10 years with us.
And a very instrumental part of our transition to high-definition television, by the way.
That's right, Mark Rolfe, who is a member, a professional here on staff at the University Television Center at Mississippi State University. You've seen his work on Farm Week through the years. You've also seen his work if you've been to an MSU football game, because you've seen productions that he's done on the big Jumbotron. He also directs the Jumbotron, putting all those many images up there. And if you see a public service announcement that during a football game or a basketball game about the university, that's Mark's work that you've seen put that together. So, sir, appreciate you getting us over this lip into high definition, and
Thank
we
you
look
for all your
forward
talents.
to hearing good things from you in the future.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for today. For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.